What if I told you that Jesus Christ was one of history's most successful entrepreneurs, but churches have deliberately hidden his business genius to keep you financially dependent? Before his ministry, Jesus worked as a tekton, not just a carpenter, but a master contractor who built houses, furniture, and even civic projects. Archaeological evidence shows first-century tektons were among the middle class, requiring significant capital, business networks, and project management skills. Napoleon Hill studied 500 millionaires and discovered they all used principles that Jesus demonstrated 2,000 years ago. The shocking truth is that Jesus funded a 3-year ministry, supporting 12 disciples plus additional followers, without ever taking collections or charging fees. This required extraordinary business acumen and wealth accumulation that churches won't acknowledge because it destroys their narrative of holy poverty. Today I'm exposing the entrepreneurial strategies Jesus used that modern billionaires still apply, proving that spiritual depth and business success aren't opposites but complementary forces. If you've never considered Jesus as a successful entrepreneur, comment Business Jesus and tell me how this perspective challenges your current beliefs about money and spirituality. Jesus demonstrated what Napoleon Hill called specialized knowledge by mastering construction trades that made him valuable across multiple markets. In first-century Palestine, a skilled tekton could earn 4 to 6 times more than common laborers, equivalent to modern skilled contractors earning 100,000 plazas annually. Jesus built his reputation through excellence when he said, "I am the way." He wasn't just speaking spiritually, but professionally. People trusted his craftsmanship because his work was superior. This reputation created referral networks that supported his later ministry. Archaeological excavations in Sepphoris, just 4 miles from Nazareth, reveal massive construction projects during Jesus' youth. These weren't simple village jobs, but sophisticated urban development requiring advanced skills, substantial crews, and significant capital investment. Jesus likely managed construction teams, negotiated contracts, and handled complex logistics. This business background explains his comfort with crowds, natural leadership abilities, and sophisticated understanding of human psychology that made his teaching so effective. Which of Jesus' business skills do you think translated most powerfully into his ministry success? Share your thoughts below. Project management, team leadership, or reputation building? Churches hide Jesus' financial wisdom demonstrated in parables that are actually business case studies. The parable of the talents isn't about spiritual gifts. It's about investment returns and capital appreciation. Jesus praised the servants who doubled their money through active trading and condemned the one who buried his capital. This directly contradicts religious teachings about money being evil. The parable of the shrewd manager commends a dishonest steward for his clever financial maneuvering, with Jesus concluding, "Use worldly wealth to gain friends." The parable of the pearl merchant describes someone who sold everything to buy one extremely valuable pearl. This is venture capital thinking, not spiritual metaphor. Napoleon Hill found that the wealthiest people think exactly like Jesus taught: take calculated risks, reinvest profits aggressively, and leverage relationships for mutual benefit. Jesus understood money multiplication principles that modern entrepreneurs pay thousands to learn. His parables contain more practical business wisdom than most MBA programs. Yet churches strip away the financial applications to maintain artificial separation between sacred and secular success. Which Jesus parable do you now realize contains powerful business wisdom you never noticed before? Comment the parable name and your new insight about its entrepreneurial message. Jesus assembled the ultimate mastermind alliance, what Napoleon Hill identified as the secret to all great achievements. His disciples weren't random followers, but strategically selected business partners with complementary skills. Matthew was a tax collector with financial expertise and government connections. Simon Peter owned fishing boats and employed multiple workers, a successful marine business operator. James and John were sons of thunder, with aggressive sales personalities perfect for expansion. Judas handled finances, demonstrating trust in money management that churches ignore. This wasn't spiritual coincidence, but intentional team building. Jesus chose people with existing business networks, practical skills, and entrepreneurial mindset. After his resurrection, these same business skills enabled them to build the largest organization in human history. The early church's rapid growth came from applying business principles Jesus had taught them. They understood marketing, spreading the message, operations, organizing communities, and finance, sharing resources efficiently. Modern churches avoid acknowledging this business foundation because it reveals that spiritual success requires the same strategic thinking as commercial success. If you were building your own disciple team for business success, which type of expertise would you recruit first? Comment your strategy below. Financial, operations, marketing, or connections? Jesus mastered what Hill called going the extra mile, providing exceptional value that created customer loyalty and referral business. When people asked him to walk 1 mile, Roman legal requirement, Jesus said walk 2. This wasn't just spiritual teaching but business philosophy. Exceeding expectations builds reputation capital that generates ongoing returns. Jesus' healing ministry followed this principle perfectly. He never charged fees but created such extraordinary value that people traveled hundreds of miles seeking his services. This built massive brand recognition across multiple regions. His customer base included everyone from poor fishermen to wealthy rulers like Nicodemus and Joseph of Arimathea. This diverse market penetration required sophisticated understanding of different customer segments and their specific needs. Jesus customized his approach for each audience while maintaining consistent core values, exactly what modern marketing experts recommend. His exceptional service created such loyalty that people literally died rather than abandon their faith in his organization. This level of customer commitment comes only from delivering transformational value consistently over time. Think about your current work or business. How could you apply Jesus' extra mile principle to exceed customer expectations? Share one specific action you could implement this week in the comments below. The most hidden aspect of Jesus' business genius was his distribution strategy. He didn't build a centralized organization, but created a franchise model that could scale globally without his direct oversight. Jesus trained 12 core leaders who then trained others, creating exponential growth through multiplication rather than addition. This is identical to modern MLM and franchise systems that create massive wealth for founders. The Great Commission, go and make disciples of all nations, is actually a business expansion plan with specific performance metrics and geographic targets. Jesus established quality control through consistent training methods, standardized procedures, baptism, communion, and regular reporting. Disciples sent out 2 by 2 and returned with results. He created residual income through tithing systems and voluntary contributions that funded continued operations. Most importantly, he built intellectual property, his teachings, that generated ongoing value without his physical presence. Napoleon. Hill found that the wealthiest people create systems that work without them, generating passive income through other people's efforts, exactly what Jesus designed with his movement. What systems are you building in your life or business that could generate results without your constant personal involvement? Comment your passive income strategy below. Jesus demonstrated perfect market timing, what Hill called definiteness of purpose, combined with strategic patience. He waited until age 30 to launch his public ministry, spending decades building skills, reputation, and financial resources. First, this wasn't spiritual delay but business preparation. By 30, he had established credibility as a successful contractor, accumulated startup capital, and developed the leadership skills necessary for managing a large organization. His timing coincided with maximum market opportunity. Roman road systems enabled rapid travel. Greek language provided universal communication, and Jewish diaspora created ready distribution networks worldwide. Jesus recognized this convergence and launched at the optimal moment. His 3-year ministry timeline wasn't random, but carefully planned for maximum impact before Roman persecution intensified. He understood that successful businesses require both preparation and execution phases. The preparation builds foundation for sustainable growth, while execution capitalizes on market opportunities. Churches present his ministry as purely spiritual calling, but the business timing was flawless, evidence of sophisticated strategic planning that complemented divine purpose. What market opportunity are you currently preparing for in your own life? Share your preparation strategy and target launch timing in the comments below. Jesus' funding model reveals advanced financial intelligence that churches desperately hide. He supported 12 full-time employees plus additional followers for 3 years without traditional income sources, yet they never lacked resources. Luke 8:1-3 mentions women supporters who helped to support them out of their own means. These weren't small donations, but substantial backing from wealthy patrons. Mary Magdalene, Joanna, wife of Herod's steward, and Susanna represented high net worth individuals who provided seed funding for his organization. This is venture capital investment in a startup with global potential. Jesus also received expensive gifts like gold, frankincense, and myrrh at birth, early capitalization that funded his family's relocation to Egypt and return. His seamless robe at crucifixion was valuable enough for soldiers to gamble over rather than divide, evidence of quality possessions that suggested financial success. Napoleon Hill found that successful people attract wealthy supporters by demonstrating value and vision. Jesus' ability to secure funding from multiple sources while maintaining independence shows sophisticated financial management that modern entrepreneurs struggle to achieve. Have you ever received unexpected financial support when pursuing a meaningful goal? Share your story in the comments. How did providing value attract resources to your vision? The ultimate proof of Jesus' business. Acumen is the global organization he built that generates more revenue than any corporation in history. Christianity today controls approximately $100 trillion in assets globally, more than the GDP of most countries combined. This didn't happen accidentally, but through systematic implementation of growth principles Jesus established. He created scalable systems, church structure, standardized products, sacraments, quality training, theological education, brand protection, doctrinal standards, and expansion incentives, missionary work. His intellectual property, teachings, continues, generating value 2,000 years later through books, media, education, and services. No business school teaches case studies more successful than Jesus' organizational model. Yet churches refuse to acknowledge this business dimension because it threatens their narrative that spiritual people shouldn't pursue wealth. Napoleon Hill would recognize Jesus as the ultimate example of someone who aligned passionate purpose with practical systems to create unlimited impact. The early Christians weren't just spiritually devoted, they were sophisticated business operators who understood marketing, finance, operations, and strategic growth. What's the most valuable business lesson you've learned from studying Jesus' organizational strategies? Comment below and let's discuss how to apply his methods to modern ventures. The complete Jesus business model combines spiritual purpose with practical execution, develops specialized skills, tecton mastery, build reputation through excellence, exceptional service, create strategic alliances, disciple recruitment, exceed expectations, extra mile principle, design scalable systems, franchise model, secure diverse funding, patron relationships, time market entry perfectly, strategic launch, and build sustainable assets, intellectual property. This integration of spiritual depth and business intelligence is why his organization succeeded beyond all others. Churches deliberately separate these elements to maintain control over believers, teaching that spiritual people shouldn't apply business principles or pursue financial success. But Jesus demonstrated that aligning meaningful purpose with systematic execution creates unstoppable force for positive change. Napoleon Hill's research proved that the wealthiest people combine passionate vision with practical strategy, exactly what Jesus modeled. Your spiritual calling and financial goals aren't opposites, but complementary aspects of fulfilling your complete potential. Jesus built the most successful enterprise in human history by applying eternal principles through earthly wisdom. If you're ready to integrate spiritual purpose with business excellence like Jesus demonstrated, comment "Complete integration" below, and I'll share the step-by-step guide for applying his entrepreneurial principles in your own life and work.